Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Evan Witt podcast here. This is Evan Witt here, and the Green Bay Packers kick off the 2017 NFL football season Sunday afternoon as they host the Seattle Seahawks. The Green Bay Packers, last we saw them, were losing against the Atlanta Falcons in the NFC Championship game last season. Their defense, or lack of defense, letting them down against the Atlanta Falcons. And the Seattle Seahawks, after looking like a team that could make a Super Bowl appearance early in the year in 2016, struggled down the stretch, losing in the playoffs early than normal that they have gotten accustomed to, and a lot of that due to injuries. So the Green Bay Packers and the Seattle Seahawks opening up in the NFC home opener for the Green Bay Packers. So, a lot of interesting storylines here. Eddie Lacy, former Green Bay Packer running back, basically allowed to leave via free agency, and he's a guy that had a bunch of weight issues while with the Green Bay Packers. He's never seemed to be able to stay healthy. Always seemed overweight. And when he was running full speed, he's a guy that could really carry the load for Green Bay. Well, now he goes to Seattle to basically play that Marshawn Lynch role that Seattle lacked last year with a strong running game and a healthy Russell Wilson. Now, Seattle still question marks with the interior of the offensive line, so that is a concern still with the team. But they do bring back Earl Thomas, who got hurt last year, and the defense never recovered. A huge key contributor to the Packers' 28-point win in Week 14 over the Seattle Seahawks. Now, the Green Bay Packers, very uncharacteristically this year, got some free agents, Martellus Bennett, Lance Kendricks, to name two, and then they also brought in some guys after the 53-man cutdown. Ahmad Brooks, one of them. So the Packers busy this offseason bringing in free agents and guys who are veterans to help Green Bay get off to a hot start. And can the Packers beat Seattle? That is the question. Now, you look on paper, the Packers have the offense that should compete with their 2011 record-setting pace when they were loaded at the skilled position. With Martellus Bennett and with Lance Kendricks, that brings an interesting dynamic to the Packers' offense, something they haven't had since Jermichael Finley was healthy. You got Martellus Bennett that can line up tight along on the line of scrimmage or also in the slot. Lance Kendricks can line up in the slot at the traditional tight end role, in the backfield as a fullback. Excuse me, you name it. Lance Kendricks can line up, and Lance Kendricks catches everything thrown to him. Jordy Nelson, a full season removed from a torn ACL, is back, and Nelson is one of the top route runners in the NFL. Randall Cobb, a very dangerous receiver out of the slot. Devontae Adams had a huge breakout third year in Green Bay with a healthy Jordy Nelson, looking to have a big year in his contract year. And then Ty Montgomery getting his first full season at the running back position. The Packers' offense is loaded, and they should have no problem moving the football against Seattle. And I get Seattle, very tough defense with Cam Chancellor, with Earl Thomas, with Richard Sherman, with Michael Bennett, Cliff Averill. They got a very tough defense it could be hard to move the chains against this defense. But this Packer offense, like I said, is loaded, and they haven't been this loaded since 2011. Aaron Rodgers could set record numbers with throwing the football if everything is moving well with this Packer offense. And Seattle will have their hands full. They will. They're going to have their hands full. Try to slow down this Green Bay high-powered offense. Defensively, Seattle's going to want to get after Aaron Rodgers, hit him, jam the receivers on the outside, and throw off that timing a little bit. Force Rodgers to have to scramble a little bit, try to keep plays alive. Seattle does have a very strong secondary. But the thing is, the Packers got more weapons than they had last year. They got more weapons in regards to Martellus Bennett and Lance Kendricks. And, you with those two and then with Ty Montgomery, you can easily shift into a 5-wide set. Motion Montgomery out of the backfield. Mike McCarthy can get very creative with this Packer lineup, what they have. And they can really attack the middle. Test Earl Thomas's broken leg. Try to get those mismatches with Martellus Bennett. And Packers need to protect Aaron Rodgers. Now, the Packers did lose some offensive line talent in the loss of T.J. Lang and J.C. Treader. And they lost Josh Sitton right before the start of last season. They released Sitton on the final cutdown day. But Lane Taylor played his way into a new contract with the Green Bay Packers. And Jahari Evans is no slouch. He's a guy that's been able to have a pretty solid NFL career up to this point. He's been a Pro Bowler before. He's a guy that's going to do a pretty good job. The only question mark is you have Brian Bulaga returning to practice today on a bummed ankle. And the problem is with his bummed ankle is he's going to be facing a speed rush from a Michael Bennett, from a Cliff Averill. So how is that ankle going to hold up with that speed rush off the edge? Is he going to be able to get back into his kick step quick enough? And Seattle did trade for Sheldon Richardson, very tough defensive tackle, to play the middle in that 4-3 base defense Seattle plays. So I think the Packers offense, as I said, should be able to move the football against the Seattle defense. Packers are just too talented, too many ways to move the football. I think what comes into question is the same thing that came into question last year, is that Green Bay Packer defense. Devon House came back after spending 2 years in Jacksonville. You have Clinton Dix developing into a top safety in the NFL. Morgan Burnett. A lot of guys back last year, hopefully healthy, with Demarius Randall and Quentin Rollins, who spent a lot of time hurt last year and making a hard time being able to cover anybody. Injuries really ravaged his defense. But the question is, how are the Packers going to get pressure on the quarterback? That was their biggest, in my opinion, the biggest Achilles heel last year. You can argue corner all you want, but you look at that pass rush, they did not have a consistent pass rush. Clay Matthews was his shoulder. As soon as Nick Perry broke his hand, he wasn't efficient as a pass rusher. And quarterbacks had all day to throw. If you give Russell Wilson all day to throw, he will pick you apart. So the Packers need to get pressure on Wilson. And up the middle is the easiest way to get pressure. Guard and center, not their strongest area. So that comes down to Mike Daniels, Kenny Clark, Dean Lowry if he plays. Those guys, the interior guys, getting a push up that middle and getting pressure in Russell Wilson's face. The edge guys, and Nick Perry and Clay Matthews, those guys, Fackrell, Ahmad Brooks, they got to secure that edge. They cannot give Russell Wilson room to run along the outside. You got to contain Wilson in the pocket, and you got to hit him. Hit Wilson. Get him to the ground. Get pressure on him. Get him off his spot. Force him to throw some bad throws. That's going to be key. If the Packers get a consistent pass rush in this game, rattle Wilson a little bit, the Packers should win. I see the secondary improving a lot this year just based off health. If they can stay healthy, they're going to be a lot better than they were last year. But it's up to that front seven to get pressure. Linebacker, still a concern. Matthews always hurt. Perry seems to always be hurt. They trade J-Ron Elliott. Ahmad Brooks coming in. What does he have left in the tank? Now, I think the Packers' defense could do well in this game, but how are they going to stop Eddie Lacy? And you have a defense that is now being built on speed. That's the Packers' defense mentality now. Speed. That's what they're trying to do. Build a fast defense. So they're smaller now. They don't have a huge defense anymore. And how is that going to go against Eddie Lacy? That's going to be the question. How is that going to work with Eddie Lacy? Eddie Lacy, as I mentioned, while he's with Green Bay, a bruiser. He's going to be running with reckless abandon, trying to show the Packers that they made a mistake not bringing him back or not trying to match that contract that was offered to him by Seattle. So they're going to have to slow down Eddie Lacy. So that's going to be up to the front seven as well. Jake Ryan's good against the run. Blake Martinez good against the run. So Clark, Daniels, Martinez, Ryan, Ricky Jean-Francois, new arrival, Quentin Dial. They have to play well. They have to play extremely well and get Eddie Lacy to the ground. Get arms on him. Get hands on him. Wrap him up and slow him down until the cavalry, the Morgan Burnett's and the Clinton Dix, can get there to help you get him to the ground. But I expect to see a lot of Demarius Randall from the slot. I expect to see Quentin Rollins and Devon House and line up on the outside. I expect to see a lot of Kevin King in this game. I expect to see a lot of Josh Jones in this game as well. But if the Packers can get pressure on Wilson, they can force turnovers, and that's going to be the key for the team. And for the Packers to win, they have to get off to a fast start. The offense cannot be stalled early on. They got to get points on the board early because that's the easy way to take Eddie Lacy and the running game for Seattle out of the game completely. Put them in a hole, 10-0, 14-0, 13 point. Get those leads early. Score first, pile on, take advantage of opportunities, force Seattle into a passing game. Take the running game that way altogether. That's another way to slow down Eddie Lacy and the Seattle Seahawks running games. You got Lacy and you got a whole bunch of running backs that Seattle is going to throw at you. But if you get an early lead, take that threat away, boom, you're good. So keys of the game, offense coming out on fire, score early, put Seattle in a hole. The defense, get pressure on Russell Wilson, hit him, contain him in the pocket, and force him off his spot to make mistakes and slow down that running game for Seattle. Those are the keys to victory. Protect the football, force turnovers too. Special teams is going to be huge. Packers have a new punter in Justin Vogel, a rookie. They got Brett Gould coming back as a long snapper, and Holder is Vogel. So that's going to be key when it comes to Mason Crosby. Punt return is going to be probably Randall Cobb and Trevor Davis. Kick return, Jeff Janis. So can the Packers special teams take advantage in this game? So I think the Packers win. I think the Packers hold on, get the victory, and I think they end up beating Seattle probably along the lines of 27-21, 27-24. But the Packers need to get a lead early and then just let the defense force Seattle into a passing game and hopefully the defense can feast off turnovers. So what are your thoughts? Do the Packers win on Sunday? Do they lose on Sunday? So this is the Evan Witt Podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at Evan Witt Sports. I will be talking to y'all later next week as I recap the Packers versus Seattle and then preview the Packers Week 2 matchup against the Atlanta Falcons. Hope you all have a great day. And remember, as Glenn Klein, who I used to work with, would always say, remember, and I'm sure he still says it too, where he is now, but remember to also give a great day. Thank you very much.